right, so it's the Digital Music Trends Midem 2013 coverage, the first day of Midem, and I'm here with David Baker and Ben Weiss from the company Spins.fm. So hi guys, how's it going?
Really good. Thanks so much for having us.
Hey, you're right.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so let's talk about Spins.fm. You're the CEO and you're sort of data scientist looking at like all of that side of the app. How did the company start out, and what was the idea that you had behind starting it?
Sure. So it came out of a totally natural need for some clients that I had worked with in the past. I've been doing digital strategy and web marketing for a number of major label artists, and all of them love radio. So despite the fact that all these streaming services are becoming a lot more popular, radio still has more listeners than all the streaming services combined. So artists love radio, but it's increasingly difficult for them to leverage their online fan base to offline conversion with radio.
Yeah.
So an artist named Travis Porter, it's a rap trio from Atlanta. They were one of our first clients, and we had created the application for them, and a number of other Sony artists and executives then saw it and said, hey, we want that for our artists or for a number of other artists. And Britney Spears then was our first kind of huge artist that used it, and from there we've had great adoption. Chris Brown, Diddy, Missy Elliott, John Legend, tons of huge major label artists have been really supportive and been using our app.
Absolutely, and explain how it worked at the beginning, because I'm just wondering, you had all these requests for people that wanted the track to be played on radio, and then how did you pass that on to the radios if you didn't have a pre-existing relationships with them?
Sure. So the radio stations don't need to be using our app in order to receive the requests. It's all filtered just through Facebook and Twitter. So how it works, the fan connects either with Facebook or Twitter, which verifies their identity and their location, and then depending on which song they're requesting and where they're located, we display the relevant local stations, and it's delivered to the station either as an @ message on Twitter or as a Facebook wall post.
Oh, it's awesome. That's great. So do you work directly with radios now, or?
We do. Yep, absolutely. So we started just focusing primarily on the artists, but in order to make this product successful, we now have to have the radio stations on board as well. And in the US, we have 3 of the biggest broadcasting companies now using our app, which is really exciting. If they do install the application, they get a lot more metrics and reporting, filtering by song automatically, by location. So there's definitely some advantages for them using it. And we're actually really excited here at Midem. We're announcing that we're expanding to the UK, to Canada, and to France as well.
That's great. And it's it's a really streamlined and fantastic solution to a problem that exists. And people normally cannot be bothered to actually call up a station or actually go all the way to all the trouble of requesting a track. But if there's a tool where they can do it and easily, and also find a station that would play it, then that's also great. And the data side of it is quite interesting. So what kind of data do you extract from the use of the app? To what depth do you go into that kind of analysis? And also, do you look at, for example, if you have a Britney Spears song, do you only propose to a listener the stations that may play that track?
Right. So part of the challenge is figuring out, how, there's tons of stations out there, and just gathering all that information. There's really no easy way of doing it. And then also categorizing them by the kind of music they play, because Britney Spears is, top 40 type of content. So a rap station probably won't play what she plays. So what we do is we acquire all the data, filter it, sort it, and then based on the request from what artist it is, we will geolocate the user and then send the request to the right location, and then the right kind of station. So usually there's a few stations in America at least, the local markets have a number of top 40 stations, and we'll send the request, we'll show the user those stations, and then they can choose which station they want to send the request to.
Yeah, absolutely. So and how do artists respond to the application? I know you had a lot of success with it, and I'm just wondering why. I'm just wondering how far can you go in taking that, and if you're looking at getting a lot of smaller bands to use it, and if that's possible for them at the moment?
Sure. So so far we've had amazing adoption both from artists and stations, and now from artists, fans, and now radio stations. Yeah. Recently, as of last month, actually, we just processed our 1 millionth request, which was pretty exciting for us.
That's great.
And yeah, in terms of artists, they love it because a lot of times radio is this kind of like forbidden fruit, where despite their popularity, stations won't play them, regardless of whatever other kind of like radio promotion they're doing. But with the explosive nature of social media, the radio stations are now embracing more interaction with their listeners, and our application is a way that the artists can kind of translate their popularity in social media to popularity in radio.
Absolutely. And is there still like a marginal resistance from radio to disrupt their playlists, especially for bigger ones?
Sure. So surprisingly, not that much anymore. Originally, or as of a few years ago, a lot of the stations were completely resistant to social media, kind of waiting for this fad to pass. And now, it's pretty much not going anywhere, at least in the near term. So stations are now kind of scrambling to catch up. And our app is different from a lot of other kind of technology solutions in the fact that we're embracing the stations and giving them a tool that works within their existing infrastructure. And in terms of, you asked about smaller artists or actually making a change to the station's behavior, that's kind of the broader vision. So ultimately, we want any artist to be able to have a legitimate chance of radio play based on the requests, and the stations are starting to come around to that, and I think it's definitely a big vision. When you look at requests, it might not seem, it's a simple radio request. They've been around for a while. But radio as an industry, I think, is ripe for disruption. And I don't think that a lot of the streaming services have really proved out their model. Take Spotify, for example. The more money they make, the more money they lose. So it's kind of it's still yet to be seen if that's really going to take trend.
Yeah. As far as integrations are concerned, also like on the technical front, do you feel like you're gonna expand on offering integrations onto different services, or are you happy right now with the Facebook and standalone integration?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good question. So right now, primarily we're using Facebook and Twitter, but as more and more services come about, we definitely want to allow those as well. One thing that we're exploring now is Foursquare integration, but based on local radio differs from internet radio in the sense that it's highly based on location, obviously, and Foursquare is something else that's really interesting to us, because then we can also show the station that, hey, these listeners are in your local area, which is important to them for advertising.
Absolutely. And do you have is there a way for the data that you sift through and that you have to be accessed in any way or form through an API?
Yeah, so actually right now we're using some third-party APIs to pull in data. So Ben mentioned on the station side, on the artist side, there's an amazing company called EchoNest that provides outstanding data for artists. So we're currently pulling in from them now. On both stations and artists, we provide a request dashboard. We haven't opened our API to the public yet, but that's definitely something that, as we continue to grow, we'd like to embrace the developer community that we're also a part of.
Yeah, exactly. And then you can send a developer to join the guys upstairs at the hack day.
Exactly.
Okay, well, that's awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining me on the show.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
And you should all check out Spins.fm, especially, I have quite a few listeners in the UK and France. So that's probably coming up in the next couple of months, right?
It's live right now. So
live right now. Perfect.
We're ready for the UK. And
great.
If you have any questions that aren't answered on our website, feel free to email me directly at david@spins.fm.